Reading with your kids.
Hey, so great to see you. Come on in. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so delighted that you're part of our beautiful Reading with Your Kids family. Please be sure to subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, wherever you find your podcast. Our guest today is Tam Warner Minton. She is here to celebrate her Reading with Your Kids certified great read, All Fish Faces. Before we invite Pam into the studio, we have an announcement to make. We have a brand new Reading with Your Kids certified great read. You heard me mention that Tam's book, All Fish Faces, is a certified great read. Our panel of teachers and parents and kids believed that Tam's book was worthy of 4 or 5 out of 5 stars, so it became a certified great read. We have a new great read to add to our Hall of Fame. Taylor's STEM Adventures, Texas, by Dr. Mary Payton, is our latest Reading with Your Kids certified great read. Are you looking to ignite your child's interest in the STEM fields? Are you looking for a book that lets kids of all races and ethnicities know that they can succeed in the STEM field? If you said yes, then you absolutely need to add Taylor's STEM Adventures, Texas, to your family library. Taylor is a bright and curious young boy who loves exploring and learning. His parents are both STEM officers serving in the United States military. That gives Taylor a chance to live and explore many different places. And in this book, we discover that Taylor's parents are now stationed at Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio, Texas. And that is where our adventure and learning begins. Taylor teaches us how limestone and other rocks are created, how underground rivers create caves and caverns, and the difference between stalactites and stalagmites. We learn that there is a colony of over 1.5 million bats living near Austin in Texas, and that dinosaurs once roamed the state. Taylor also brings us to the NASA Johnson Space Center. We love that this book is loaded with fun STEM facts. It's a super way to ignite kids' curiosity and inspire them to start to explore the STEM that surrounds us and encourages diversity in STEM. We want to celebrate and congratulate Dr. Mary Payton. Her new book, Taylor's STEM Adventures, Texas, is our latest Reading with Your Kids certified great read. Joining us on the line right now from Dallas in the great state of Texas, she is the author of a really beautiful series of picture books. Or maybe it should be called photo books. Please welcome to the show the author of the Ocean Friend series, Tam Warner Minton. Tam, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. I'm really excited to talk to you about these right now 2 great books in the Ocean Friend series. All Fish Faces is the first, and More Fish Faces is the newly released book. Tell us what inspired you to create this series.
You know, what inspired me was years and years of diving and teaching young kids and teenagers how to dive, how to snorkel, and seeing their excitement, but also knowing that if kids could just see these animals and see the beauty of the ocean, they would care enough to do things to help save it, to help conserve that environment. And, you know, when you see a child who is just so excited to see fish and to see the underwater world, it's just inspiring.
Yeah. I love this idea of helping kids appreciate the ocean and appreciate the mystery that's down there, because we really know so little about the ocean. I mean, less than 5% of the ocean has been explored, is my understanding. That's really incredible. I mean, it's kind of mind-boggling when you think about it. We know more about the moon than we know about the bottom of the ocean.
That's true. And how many children really get to go and actually see the ocean and look under the waves. This is a way to show them what is down there.
You're absolutely right. I lived in Boston my entire life, so we're we're right on the ocean here. So the ocean's been a part of my life for a long time, but it wasn't until my honeymoon when I was down in Puerto Rico that I went snorkeling for the first time and was like, just talk about eye-opening experience, seeing all those creatures down there, seeing creatures that were like as big as me down there.
Yeah. It's really, really exciting. And for the second book, I added 3 new species of fish from the first book. So I'm really excited to show kids eels and trumpetfish and also seahorses.
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 Yeah, I imagine kids really get excited about seeing a seahorse.
Yep. Yes, they do. I would think so. And, of course, I'm excited to see anything and everything down there. Yeah. But, seahorses are a real special treat.
What's so special about a seahorse?
Well, they're tiny for one thing. They don't live really long time. They are also basically clinging to a piece of plant or coral. They live their whole lives in this one little tiny area. They mate for life. And if they lose their mate, they don't look for another one.
Wow.
The other exciting thing about seahorses is that it's the boy seahorses that give birth.
Now that's really
Isn't that
weird.
cool?
It is. I was going to say weird, but yeah, it's very, very cool.
This is a pregnant Pygmy seahorse.
Wow.
Can you see it?
I can.
Is
wild.
that the coolest thing?
That is.
It looks like a bath toy. And that is the smallest seahorse on the planet. I mean, these things are they're barely as big as your fingernail.
Wow.
It's so amazing to see these creatures.
Yeah. How did, I don't know if you've lived your whole life in Dallas. I don't necessarily think of Dallas as being a scuba diving capital of the world. How did you get into diving and the ocean and everything?
I grew up in Ohio, which is also not exactly a scuba diving place, but we vacationed every single summer in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And, of course I had a mask, and my brother and I liked to look underneath and see what was underneath the ocean. And one of the most exciting things I ever saw down there was Manta Rays. Manta Rays going by on the surface of the water, and people back then thought that they were devilfish and that they would be dangerous to humans, which they're not at all, and they would make us get out of the water. Oh. But it was amazing to see the size of those animals. And I also got stung by a Portuguese man-o-war, so that kept me interested in what was down there.
I'm surprised it didn't scare you away from the water.
Well, it's just too fascinating. I have been in a cage where a great white came in accidentally. Of course, it wasn't trying to hurt me, but it came in accidentally, and that was a pretty frightening experience. But I can't get enough of the underwater world.
I guess it would be a very frightening experience, especially since the cage is supposed to keep the sharks out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What you talked a lot about the pygmy seahorse and seahorses and how unique they are and how much you love them. What are some of the other favorite species of yours?
Well, manta rays are probably my very, very special favorite fish. And strangely enough, in 2 days, which will be September 17th, it's going to be the very first World Manta Day. So it's going to bring attention to the fact that they are very endangered and that they need a lot of conservation effort to keep them in the sea. So it's really exciting to have that. I love whale sharks and sharks. I love eels. There's just nothing cooler than seeing an eel underwater. I mean, especially a big one. They look scary because their mouth, is always doing this. And you see those huge teeth in there. But all they're doing is breathing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So they're really not scary at all. But they're amazing when they swim. They look like big, long pieces of ribbon going through the water. It's very cool.
Have you, other than the time that the great white snuck into your cage, were there any other times that you felt endangered down underneath the water?
In danger. I can't really think of any time that I felt that I was truly in danger. I've been left out at sea by boats. That was scary, but that wasn't, underwater. That was humans that make you scared by leaving you, out there floating in the middle of a cold ocean. So okay. I've not had any.
Okay, we can't gloss over that. You gotta. I mean, I understand if you you don't get back on the bus, maybe, the 60, 70 people on the bus and someone loses count. But typically, boats and diving expeditions, they're a little bit different. I think they're usually a little bit more careful. Like my wife, when she takes her kids on a field trip, they count and make sure they have everybody.
They are supposed to do that, yes. The problem on that particular day was it was a pretty rough sea. It was in Ecuador, and the current was pretty strong. And you would think that the boat would follow the current in order to find the diver, mm-hmm. right? No, they went the opposite direction. So I could see the boat going away from us, my dive buddy and I, and we were in the ocean an hour and a half, 2 hours waiting. And I was very surprised at how weak I was mm-hmm. and how cold I was mm-hmm. when we were finally rescued by another boat.
Wow, so those folks didn't even come back to find you.
It's very difficult to find a diver,
sure.
In a rough ocean. Even when you have sausages that you put up, they're usually yellow or orange, and you put those up, to make sure that the boat can see you. But we had our noodle sausages out, waving them around, and they didn't see it.
Wow, what a scary story.
It was, yes, it was unnerving. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Now,
I was not afraid of sharks or anything because in the area where we were, fortunately for me that day, I guess, there were no sharks there because they'd all been fished out and sold for fins. So we never saw one shark the entire 2 weeks I was there.
Yeah. So much I want to talk to you about. You spoke early on about your books, hopefully motivating kids to develop a real love of the ocean and help them become more aware of some of the things that we can do on land that can help conserve the ocean. You mentioned the sharks being endangered because folks want shark fin soup. What are some of the other creatures that are endangered that you fell in love with?
Well, this is something that kids really do need to know, is that plastic and plastic straws especially are very, very dangerous for life in the ocean. I have seen turtles that have ingested too much plastic and they've died because they can't get any nutrition. Turtles and other animals who eat things like jellyfish, they think that floating plastic is food. And it's so heartbreaking to be in the ocean and see animals who have been affected, to see a turtle with choking on a straw, or a fish or something getting caught in the straw and dying. So plastic is very, very dangerous for the ocean. So we really need to do better about recycling and using reusable bags and buying either paper or stainless steel straws that you can take out with you. And that way you're not endangering those animals. Yeah. So plastic is a really huge issue, but so is climate change. And climate change is causing so much damage because of heating up the water and heating it to the point where corals can't survive. If coral can't survive because of heat, there aren't going to be any fish. So you must have coral in a coral reef in order to support that ecosystem. If you don't have coral, then you don't have fish, and so you don't have sharks because sharks don't have anything to eat. You understand what I'm saying?
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
So, it's really important to be careful and try hard to be better about our carbon footprint. To unplug our devices, to make sure that you turn out the lights, to talk to mom and dad about maybe a hybrid or an electric vehicle, that kind of thing.
Yeah. It's interesting the title that you picked for the book, All Fish Faces and More Fish Faces. What was that inspiration? Where did that come from?
I have always been absolutely fascinated by the faces of animals, humans as well as fish or other animals. Fish have the most interesting faces. You can see their personality. You can see how odd, how weird they look in some cases. The colors, the patterns, the teeth, knowing what they eat, how they eat it. For instance, they're crunching away on the rocky coral. It sounds like somebody eating cereal, Faces, I think, humanize creatures for kids. And I think we need to show them that these creatures have a right to be here too. It's not all about us. It's about the environment. It's about our ecosystem. The ocean supports us. It gives us food, medicines. It absorbs most of the carbon in our environment. We need the ocean to survive.
Absolutely. A whole lot. As the ocean and the photoplankton in the ocean are absorbing the carbon, they're also releasing, creating oxygen. So we can't breathe
exactly right.
unless we have the ocean.
Every second breath you take comes from the ocean.
Yeah. And I know that folks don't realize that.
No, they don't. And so I try to, part of the book, it's not only just species and fish faces and showing people that different, for instance, angelfish, they look different in every ocean. They don't look the same in the Indian Ocean as they do in the Atlantic. So it's interesting for people to see the different types of angelfish. But, they have to understand that the ocean gives us life, that we need the ocean to survive. I mean, what are we going to do if we don't have that food source, if we don't have that carbon well?
Yeah.
It's just, there are so many things about the ocean that we need.
Yeah. And I think that this, sitting down and reading our Ocean Friends series would be a great way for a family to kind of come together and to certainly enjoy the fish faces and have lots of fun seeing all the different types of species. But I think, too, it would be a great way to start a family conversation about what we can do as a family to help
Right.
the
And
ocean.
that part of the book is about telling kids, this is what the ocean does for us, and this is what you can do to help the ocean. In helping the ocean, you're helping yourself. And as adults, we have to understand that by helping the ocean, we are helping our kids and our grandkids to be able to eat in the future, and to be able to have oxygen and all the things that we need for survival.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I
as
think,
well as enjoyment.
Yeah.
I mean, the ocean is there also for people to enjoy carefully.
and I think too, when we involve our kids in this kind of conversation and have them be part of our plan to develop this family conservation plan, we're empowering our kids. We're letting them know that their opinion is important. We're letting them know that they have the power to make a difference in their lives and in the world.
That is so important for kids to feel like they can do something to make a difference in the world.
Yeah.
They don't have to wait to grow up. They don't have to wait. They can do it now.
Yeah. Hey, where was the most fun place that you dove?
Strangely enough, it's not even a tropical coral reef, the place that that is the most fun. It's a place known as the Socorro Islands, called the Revillagigedos Archipelago. It's about 30 hours off of Cabo. So it's a long way out there, a long way out at sea. And it's very remote. And the Manta Rays, the dolphins, these animals out there actually divers. They actually interact with you. The Manta Rays love your bubbles on their tummies. It's the only place I've ever been where manta rays like to hover over you to get the bubble feeling on their tummy. And the dolphins play games. They are hilarious.
Wow.
Plus you see 7 species of shark. It's an exciting place to dive.
It sounds like it. And what an exciting life that you live. And, hopefully when
I want to get back to it.
Yeah.
The virus is keeping me at home right now.
Well, I'm hoping that kids, in addition to, developing a love for the ocean, maybe one of the things that can come from the Ocean Friends series is just kids developing a love of photography and,
And reading.
And reading. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, tell us,
Now,
Tam.
I have a 2-year-old granddaughter. She's 2.5. She's very forward for her age. She's obsessed with the book. Oh. She's obsessed with fish. She wants to watch movies about fish. She wants to see the book over and over. She reads it every night.
That's wonderful.
Which is, pretty wonderful for grandma.
Absolutely. Hey, Tim, tell everybody where they can go online to connect with you and find out more about your Ocean Friends series.
I am on Facebook at Tam Warner Minton Author, and I have my own website, which is tamwarnerminton.com. That's my author website, and I'm also a travel writer, and I have a travel blog called travelswithtam.com. I'm on Instagram as Tam's Animals. So I have lots of fish pictures, but also other animals. I just posted a cassowary. Do you know what that is?
I have no idea what that is.
It's one of those huge birds that can't fly and has a blue. It looks like a velociraptor.
Wow.
And these are like the most dangerous birds known to man. They can hurt you.
Wow. And
they're beautiful. They're beautiful. You find them in Australia.
There's a lot of weird creatures down in Australia.
There are weird creatures everywhere. It's
true.
Amazing.
That's true.
It is amazing. I just love it.
And I'm so happy that you are devoted to helping introduce kids and adults to all of the wonders that we can find in the world. I want to encourage everybody to check out the Ocean Friends series. There are 2 books right now, All Fish Faces and More Fish Faces. And the books were written and all the pictures were photographed by our guest, Tam Warner Minton. Tam, thanks so much for being part of the show.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And kids, read, read, read.
Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Carrie Gallagher. Carrie is speaking at the International Bullying Prevention Association World Conference. You know, October is Anti-Bullying Month. Carrie's going to come in here and talk to us about this very important subject. That's the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Hey, you heard earlier that we're celebrating the fact that Dr. Mary Payton's book, Taylor's STEM Adventures Texas, is our latest Reading with Your Kids certified great read. Tam Warner Minton's book, All Fish Faces, is also a certified great read. If you are an author and you're looking for different ways to help your book stand out from the crowd of books that are published every single month, you may want to take a look at our Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read program. We just updated it. We have a brand new seal of approval that is absolutely beautiful. I just love it. It looks fantastic on books and really, really stands out. It's definitely an upgrade to our former seal of approval. You're going to love it. Just go to our website, please, readingwithyourkids.com. Authors, click on the Authors Click Here button, and then scroll down to our Certified Great Reads application. We want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, we want to thank Tam Warner Minton. Please be sure to check out her Certified Great Read book, All Fish Faces, and also check out More Fish Faces. I also want to thank my team, my amazing daughter, Alejandra Doherty, my producer, Fatima Khan, my awesome author, Ambassador Peggy Cotto. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me, but most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today, and as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.